Welcome back to Modern Monarchy. It's me, Jen, by myself. Cassie abandoned me again. Yes, it was scheduled that I would be alone, but still, I'm sad. And I'm mad at Meghan because she made my video late. I mean, it's not her fault that I decided to cover some of her show, but I can still blame her. I was just going to watch the whole season and then come on here with some overarching ideas or issues or critiques that I have for the show, but I started making my notes and apparently I have a lot of nits to pick, so I hope you're here for that. My notes are just kind of the thoughts I had as I was watching that episode, but I think we're going to notice some common things that not only run through these two episodes, but all of season 1. A lot of the same critique is going to happen. Surprise, surprise, considering she shot the whole thing in one go and is calling this season 2? Why are we doing that? I think they just should have called it season 1, episodes 9 through 16. So let's get into episode 1. My first thought, I see Daniel. Daniel is from the first episode of the first season. Remember when she bagged up those peanut butter pretzels because Daniel loves them so much? But then 2 seconds later, she was like, I'm gonna label these so that they know that there's peanut butter inside just in case they're allergic. I get that that's a generally good practice, but if you know the person as well as Meghan knows Daniel, then you should know if he has an allergy. And if he's obsessed with peanut butter, he probably doesn't have an allergy, Meghan. In fact, in this episode, when he decides what flavor graham crackers he wants to make, they're peanut butter. So questions that popped into my head when I see Daniel is Daniel here again? Or is Daniel still here? Because I think Daniel just stayed. And they were like, we need you in another episode. I mean, in the first season, Meghan was making a bunch of snacks for his guest suite, I'm assuming, that he has wherever they live. The next thing we see is Guy is here. Guy passed away way back in January. Granted, I know that we all know that this was all filmed at the same time as season 1. It was just further confirmation. So Meghan decides that she and Daniel are going to make caramelized onion tarts for when David and Christina show up. The first thing they obviously have to do is slice up some onions, at which point they make a little joke about the fact that in the first season he nicked himself with a smaller knife, so this time she's giving him a big one. And Daniel's making a joke that he nicked himself because the knife was too small, and then Meghan's like, oh yeah, it was the knife's fault. But honestly, that was one of the things that was bothering the crap out of me in the first season, is that she kept cutting things with these little tiny knives, and she was cutting so much stuff. And she's also 2 seconds away from cutting off a finger. So yeah, it would be great if you gave him an appropriately sized knife. Now our guests of honor show up. It's David Chang. He's a really great chef. On the show, they mentioned that he owns Momofuku, which makes some really great ramen. I'm not gonna lie. David and Christina have some shows on Netflix themselves. I don't really have a problem with David, but you know how everybody was saying that it's really interesting that in episode 2 she's gonna have Chrissy Teigen, and the last time people were really talking about Chrissy Teigen a lot was when we were all talking about how she was an online bully and told somebody to take a dirt nap. So people have been joking around that, it's a meeting of the mean girls. Yeah, well, I'm not a big fan of Christina Tosi. First of all, they make her out to seem like some sort of culinary genius. She makes desserts. And a lot of her cake recipes are kind of the same recipe with different flavor profiles. It's not wildly creative. Am I jealous that apparently she can eat a whole bunch of sugar and it doesn't seem to affect her physically? Yes. But my main beef with her is that she broke my man Jamie's heart. And by Jamie, I mean anti-chef Jamie. This man has been making recipes on YouTube for a few years now. He started not even knowing how to wilt spinach. That's how bad he was. And along the way, he has used some of Christina Tozzi's recipes to make layered cakes and pies and cookies. Okay, so Jamie does one of her recipes, posts a link to his video on Twitter, tagging her. Maybe she'll see it. I just really want to tell her how much I love her food. She retweets his tweet and sends him a message. She says, "Hey Jamie, I loved your video. I want to send you some goodies. What address can I use? Thanks for the support and keep crushing it. CT." And he goes, "Christina, so glad you enjoyed it. Phew, I love some goodies. Don't forget the flour. Ha ha ha. Thanks for retweeting. That means a lot. My address is blah blah blah." He waits. Months go by. He sends her one more message. Maybe she forgot. He waits. He never gets the goodies. How dare you, Christina? How dare you? And Meghan, I can't believe these are the people you hang out with. So David and Christina come in. They're talking about the fact that David and Christina are friends, and Meghan and Daniel are friends. And Daniel's known Meghan through so many chapters. Oh my god. Just been through so much. And Christina's like, "So Daniel knows everything." And she asks like a couple of times. And I think we all know that Christina's trying to get at the fact that Daniel knows everything that Meghan knows about the royal family. The next thing that kind of made me go, ugh. It's Meghan and Daniel in the kitchen. And Daniel's like touching up her makeup before David and Christina get there. And then to be like funny and play around, they swap and she goes to touch up his makeup. Except she's using the same sponge that was on her greasy ass forehead and just pressing it onto his skin, and also blue on it, which is something you're also not really supposed to do. I get it, they're friends, they're comfortable with each other. I don't do that shit, not even with friends. And it reminded me of the lip gloss situation where Meghan asked to borrow a bit of lip gloss from Catherine, and according to Harry, Catherine seemed a little hesitant to share her lip gloss. I also would be hesitant. I can tell you if it was me, I would probably have made sure that my lip gloss was good, and then I would be like, "Here, you can keep it." And these are just hygiene things, but I just feel like for somebody who's trying to pretend to be so fancy, maybe you should stop directly swapping bacteria with people. More examples of things that I consider to be hygiene issues are Meghan and Daniel tasting the marinade with a spoon and then proceeding to put their spoons on the table, not in the sink. Because there are 4 people working in this kitchen, and there's a really good chance somebody's going to need a spoon at some point and just grab one that you ate off of. And then later, Christina is picking food out of Meghan's hair, somehow got up there, and Meghan says, "Oh, do I have some more cabbage in my hair?" I'm like, what are you doing? Like, first of all, why are you getting so much food in your hair? I already have a problem with your hair dangling down in front of you while you are preparing food. But the fact that both Meghan and Christina are all in Meghan's hair, I'm sure people washed their hands. I didn't see it. I just get the feeling that Meghan doesn't really think about what her hands have touched while she's cooking. And as somebody who used to work in a kitchen in a hospital, I am hyper aware of these things. Next, in this episode, there is a lot of, oh my god, Meghan's really good at this. No matter what it is. No matter if she's arranging flowers or cutting graham crackers in a baking pan. Apparently, Meghan's really good at this. And I'm gonna try not to bring that up too much if I decide to review the rest of this season, because it does seem to be, if season 1 was any indication, this show really likes to big up Meghan, and it's always so over the top. Another thing that I'm going to mention for this episode, but I'm going to try not to bring up too often, is the lack of authenticity. We already know that's there. We know from all the content she has made since she left the royal family that she's tried so hard to be authentic, and it's not working. And I stick by my theory that if you are somebody who is an actress and a social climber, and you spend almost all of your life pretending to be the person you would like to be and not who you really are, you lose track of who you are. But it's becoming a little infectious in this show because there's a lot of awkward laughing, and by awkward I mean people laughing really hard about really dumb things that aren't that funny. This second half of my notes on episode 1, I'm also going to do for episode 2, and that is, are these recipes or crafts doable from watching the show? Not I got inspired and then I looked up on Google and YouTube how to do it, because I have a hard time figuring out what is this show. Sometimes I'm like, it's just a vibes show. She just wants it to feel like you're hanging out with her and whoever she has on the show. But then she'll start doing a recipe and she'll start giving you exact measurements. Like she's trying to show you how to do it. And I'm like, are you showing me how to do things? I don't know what the show is. What is the point of the show? That's probably my biggest complaint overall. I want her to do this show. I want her to do well. I think for her, because she used to be a minor celebrity influencer hybrid kind of person, this is probably the best content we're going to get out of her. And I want it to work out well so that she can officially move on with her life. We're talking about all the chapters you've been through. Maybe we should start a new book. Okay, first recipe was the caramelized onion tart. Do I think you could make it watching this episode? Yes, question mark. Yes, if you know how to caramelize onions. Because I feel like she doesn't really specifically go through that process. She just kind of like cooks it. But she doesn't tell you like really how long it's going to take and what to look out for. I also find that these little plates that she makes for her guests to eat as soon as they get there are always weird. Like, why are we eating this? Like, everybody got one egg and a tiny piece of caramelized onion tart. Why? That is such a weird thing. If I came to visit somebody and they gave me a tiny piece of a tart and an egg, I would be like, I could just eat when we make dinner. Second thing we do is Meghan does some water marbling. She makes some scarves and some pocket squares. I don't think that you could do the water marbling off of what you see on the show and end up with a good product. I don't know what kind of fabric you're using. I'm guessing silk because you're making scarves, but she doesn't tell us what kind of fabric she's using and what kind of fabrics will work or won't work or what works best with it. Honestly, because I think she's doing this for the first time. Maybe second. That's another problem, is that not only do I not know if this show is supposed to be showing me how to do things, a lot of the time, she either says that she's never done something before and she's just doing it for the first time on the show, or it is very obvious that she's like, well, I saw this on the internet and I think I can do it. All she shows us is the putting the dye in the water and swirling it around and then putting the fabric on it. She mentions Carrageenan to make the water thicker so that the dyes don't disperse and become too thin. But why don't you show me the bottle? Show me what it looks like. Show me you mixing it with the water. Show me how to do this. You're just showing me half of the project. The next thing they do is flower arranging. I don't understand why we're doing this. I would think maybe she would want to teach them the different aspects of flower arranging, like design rules that she follows to make a beautiful arrangement. I heard her mention like something about try to find a flower that's going to be your main flower in the bouquet, but there really wasn't a lot of instruction. They were just throwing crap in a pot. Why were the pots leaking? Why do we have pots with holes in them? The ones with the drainage hole at the bottom? Why was that an option for the bouquet thing? Nobody checked the other ones for cracks, apparently. Things that went wrong that I would think you would edit out. Do I think you can do flower arranging? Of course, if you have the money to buy a bunch of flowers. Another awkward moment, David mentions while they're doing the flowers that samurai used to do flower arranging and calligraphy, and then it goes to Meghan, who is mind blown. She's like, oh, I also do calligraphy and flower arranging. Okay? That's not all there is to samurai. The next recipe is the s'mores. Absolutely not. For Christina's part of the show and for David's part of the show, they're both making stuff up on the spot. There are no measurements given, no tips. I also, if I wanted a s'more, I am not taking the time to make the graham crackers and the marshmallows and chocolate bark. This is the first time in these episodes that Meghan is going to complain about baking and how she doesn't like it because you have to get all your measurements right. And it's like, sort of. Baking is something that you have to practice. Your measurements don't have to be so neurotically measured as she does in the next episode with the sourdough, but you need to know proportions, how ingredients interact when they are baked in the oven, and once you know like the basic rules of baking, you kind of have wiggle room to get creative. David's dinner. No, you couldn't make exactly what they're making because we miss half of the food that they made. Dave was making stuff up on the spot. He made a ton of food. Again, no measurements. The only note I really have about this is I thought it was annoying that Meghan had to put flour sprinkles on the salad. Please stop with the flour sprinkles. No one wants to eat flour sprinkles. Hey everybody, it's Editing Jen. It's 2 o'clock in the morning and I need to hit the sack. So, unfortunately, part 2 is going to have to come out tomorrow after I get out of work. Thanks for watching till the end. Please give the video a like and subscribe.